Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, a Spotlight podcast. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
Okay, well, whether you call it the Great Resignation or the Great Reassessment, if you talk to an employer, chances are they're seeking new talent and are having trouble finding them. The pandemic has forced some of the workforce to change the way they work, and others have simply decided that they want to work differently. So here to discuss a company that's offering assistance during this Great Reassessment is the managing partner of Atomic Object, Miss Brittany Hunter. Welcome to the show, Brittany.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, Chris.
Wonderful. So let's start with the company as a whole. So where is Atomic Object located? How long have you been in business?
Yeah, so currently we have 3 offices, Grand Rapids, Chicago, and Ann Arbor. Grand Rapids is where we were founded in 2001. Our founder was a professor at Grand Valley State University, computer science professor. He always wanted to get closer to the work instead of being in the really abstract, heady academic space, wanted to actually do the work. And so the company started with a few of him and his students and then grew from there. And now we have about 80 employees across our 3 offices.
Fantastic. All right. My son's at Grand Valley, so it's nice that they know that, companies are being formed out of that academic institution.
I'm a Laker too.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
A lot of pride there.
Good. Yes, we were just there last weekend. It's a great place. So what is Atomic Object's mission? Kind of what problem was that professor trying to solve that inspired him to get out into the world?
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, it was all about producing quality software. As we've grown, really our mission is to live out our purpose. We want to be the best software makers. We want to grow new offices, apply our model to new businesses or lines of business, and really to inspire others. So for us, that means being a force for good in our communities and in our clients' businesses, as well as a source of fulfillment for our employees and for the community around us.
Right on. Okay. So I'm decent with technology despite my age, but I'm not very software savvy. So talk to me a little bit about, what type of software your company produces for your clients.
Yeah. So we create software for many platforms. We don't actually specialize in one technology or platform. So web applications are really common lately. Those are our pieces of software that users will interact with through their web browser. Everybody's using, apps on their phone now. So we do iPhone, Android applications. We do desktop software and also software that runs on devices like wearables or other gadgets. And often we work on projects that combine one or more of those different platforms too. So whatever we're building, we try and make it beautiful, reliable, easy to use. Our teams of designers and developers, they work with the companies that hire us to understand what those companies need, what their users need, what's going to bring value and help them achieve their goals. And then along the way, we work really hard to stay on budget. And our goal is to deliver more value than we're even paid for. If people feel like they got more from us than they paid, then we feel like we've been successful. We serve a national base of clients from startups to Fortune 500s. Listeners might be familiar with the Art Prize tour and voting application. That's a particularly Michigan-centric one that we've worked on for many years.
Okay. So you mentioned all these different platforms that you can build the custom software on. Is that important because you want to use one that works with the existing infrastructure of the company, or is it based on what they say they want the deliverable to be is going to drive which platform you build it on? Again, I'm not very techie, but I saw that you have one of the things I learned about your company is you don't just sell something that's pre-created on one platform that people need to adjust themselves to incorporate. You find out, it seems like, what they need, and then you build it on the appropriate platform to complement their business. That's
exactly right. Okay. Everything that we build is bespoke. We purposefully don't limit our range to a certain type of company or a certain type of technology because we want our customers to know that when we're building something, it's for their needs. So we don't want to be shoehorning them into, we're experts in this particular language. Right. So we want to get to know them. And especially if it's a larger customer, they might have constraints around, they're a Microsoft shop or something like that. Right. So we want to build with what's going to be easy for them to incorporate into their existing infrastructure, maintain long-term, and then also help them along the way and be able to point out based on our expertise, places where they might consider innovating, or places where we see the industry is heading. So, they might be deep experts in their domain, in their line of business. We can bring that technology expertise to bear, as well as a cross-cutting look at what many companies from many different industries are doing, and be able to bring, maybe here's a principle from another industry that is relevant here, and they might not have been aware of that because they're so deep in what they're doing and they're experts at that. So we like to bring just that variety and that outside perspective.
Got it. Okay. So now in my introduction, I talked really about the Great Resignation or Great Reassessment and people struggling to find talent and all of that. And then we tricked them and we're talking about software. But you equate the two, right? I mean, so talk to me a little bit about how you believe that your company helps employers attract talent or retain talent and make it a better place to work. I mean, that's really kind of the theme of the show really is, you're providing these great solutions for companies and it's assisting them maybe with employee retention.
Yeah. I wouldn't say that we can claim to help employees or help clients retain employees, right? Because that covers a whole host of things, right? Yeah. Employee experience, or it's a very multifaceted issue. But what I can say, what I'm seeing right now in the software industry is unprecedented demand for our services and the services like companies like ours. We're booked out months and months in advance right now. So if we're talking to clients about new projects, we might be scheduling those projects for later on this summer or even into the fall.
Okay.
How does that connect then to employee retention? Well, what I'm seeing right now is a lot of companies doubling down on software that streamlines business processes, automates repetitive tasks, makes the work easier, better for the employees that they do have, so that those employees can focus on the work that is strategic and meaningful versus the work that's boring and repetitive. So they're allowing these employees to do more with less effort and find more rewarding experiences in the process. The other place that I'm seeing that is in modernization projects, or taking old software maybe that the company has relied on for many, many years. We're at a point now where software has been a part of business and a part of our daily lives for decades and decades, maybe even 50 years. So a lot of companies are still relying on very old systems that are hard to maintain and that frankly aren't very enjoyable or easy to use for their employees, easy for new people to onboard into.
Right.
So for them, embarking on a project to rebuild that software in new modern technologies, take advantage of things like tablets or other pieces of technology that just weren't available when their software was originally built, that helps them streamline onboarding of new employees, helps their existing employees have a better experience, so that those employees are more likely to stick around and can get more done in their day-to-day.
Right. So your technology actually probably assists employers that are dealing with less employees. So this great reassessment or resignation. You said you're modernizing and streamlining the workflow so that you could probably get more done even with less people to help them navigate that.
Yeah, and the reality is, whether they know it or not, almost every company nowadays is a software company. A grocery store is a software company. So those companies that are taking control of that are often better positioned to be resilient in situations like a pandemic, like the Great Reassessment, so that they can get out ahead of that and be in a place of innovation and being able to strategically take control of their destiny in these times versus trying to catch up.
Right. So obviously all of this, the pandemic and the Great Reassessment is a 2-year-old thing, but you've been around since 2001.
Yeah.
So how much has your company changed to accommodate the effects of the coronavirus?
Yeah. So our goal is to become a 100-year-old company. So that informs our strategic plan. We want to be here 100 years from now, delivering success for clients, delivering great experiences for our employees. The company, what we do, we can't imagine where software might go between here and there.
Right, sure.
But we have this firm belief that there's always going to be a need for custom software in some way, shape, or form. So for us, that's been our guiding light. Through the pandemic, really, we had to take that light and focus just on, the few steps ahead of us, right? Things like, how do we keep our employees safe? How do we take a business that is very oriented towards in-person collaboration and overnight take that remote? And then how do we maintain that culture when we're remote for over a year, like longer than we ever expected? And how do we continue delivering excellent value to our clients when all of the tools and practices that we were used to using in person? When you think of like a software studio, you think of computers, but you also hopefully think of things like whiteboards, like stickies on the wall, a lot of like really dynamic in-person collaboration. How do you take that spirit and then bring it into the virtual world? And we did it. I'm proud to say that we had no layoffs during the pandemic. We kept delivering great value for our clients. We kept our employees safe. And now I think we're poised to be delivering better than ever. I'm really proud of how our employees adapted their process and practice and brought creativity to bear, brought new tools, boned up on new virtual collaboration tools. And I think it's made us more flexible and adaptable too, in that we still value in-person work and feel like that's a very healthy way for humans to interact and a very productive way, but also being able to have rich collaboration with our clients who might be hundreds or thousand miles away. We've gotten so much better at that, where maybe before the pandemic, we would have hopped on a plane to go do a big series of meetings. Now, we still might do that from time to time to invest in the relationship, but we're also able to get a lot more done without taking that trip. We have new clients who we started working with during the pandemic from out of state, and those clients, we've never met with them in person. And that's just bonkers to me because typically meeting with them in person would be one of the first things we did as part of understanding them and getting to know their needs and even deciding, like, are we a good fit to work together? So it's pretty great that we've got these productive relationships from out of state, and we're doing great work and having a great time doing it together.
Good for you. That's great. So pre-pandemic, your company worked hard to earn a B Corporation certificate, right? Yeah. So what exactly is a B Corp and why is it important?
So for us, B Corp is external validation of business practices and principles that we already believe to be important and true. A good comparison is USDA certification, organic certification for farms, external validation that they're following practices that are healthier for the environment. For us, the nonprofit organization called B Lab runs a rigorous certification process, and then also periodically you have to get recertified, where they score you in key areas of your business's operations around things like how you treat people, sustainability, basically, how do you interact with stakeholders more than just the bottom line that you are producing? So for us, it's external validation of things that we already believe are good for us and good for the world. And it's been really cool to be a part of that process. I often will have conversations with potential job candidates. I do a lot of interviewing, and especially young employees now, they want to they want to do work, but they also want to be a part of something that matters. They want to feel like their work has an impact. And so they'll often ask about, like, I saw this B Corp thing on your website. Like, what does that mean? And it's great to have that opening for that conversation about, well, here are the things that we believe to be important and how we like to do business. And also you can go to the B Lab website and check that out for yourself. You can look at our scores. You can see that this isn't just something that we say. It's not just marketing hype. It's what we believe to be true, and it's been externally validated. And
is it for certain industries? I mean, is it a software type designation, or can a company of all different industries?
That's the great thing about it is it's all industries can be a part of it. Like Patagonia is one of the more famous B corporations.
Okay.
Locally in Grand Rapids, Brewery Vivant, right down the street from us, they're a B Corp. So and actually, we were one of the earlier service companies to go for this designation. There's a lot more in their directory now, but it's very cool to be part of this like-minded band of companies and be able to see on that list, or even as we are putting together company events or things like that, look at, are there any vendors who are B Corp certified who we could work with? So it's a neat resource for that too.
Right. Okay. So you talked a little earlier about the types of clients that you have. You said startups to Fortune 500s. Is there any kind of a sweet spot for those listening, trying to figure out, it's like, okay, well, I'm listening to this software development company. I wonder if they're the right fit for me, or whether their bandwidth is more built for someone else. I mean, is there an industry type that you tend to work with, or a company size, or geography?
Yeah, that's a great question. The thing about custom software is that it's pretty expensive. So the first thing that we try to do when we're talking with new clients is I want to understand, if we work with them and build software together, I want to understand that the value of the software is going to be there for the cost that they're going to have to pay us to build it, and the long-term cost of maintaining that software.
Right.
So that's kind of the first criteria is are we going to be working on something that brings value? And often I find myself almost an anti-salesperson, like having to convince people, like, no, actually you don't need custom software, and showing them, like, here's some tools you could use, or here's a software as a service company that's already stood up. You don't have to go on this journey. You can just pay them a fee and use their software, and it's going to get you where you need to go. Beyond that, we work with a broad range of clients on purpose. We have about 50% of our clients here in Michigan, and the other 50% is nationwide. Those percentages fluctuate a little bit, but I really like that because I love working here with folks in Michigan and bringing that value to the local economy. And I also love bringing in out-of-state dollars to our local economy, and also those perspectives that you just get from working with a broader range of people across the country. We work across all different industries: manufacturing, financial, education, healthcare. So it really spans the gamut. And again, that's we consider that an added value for our clients. Yep. We like to use the phrase, we are experts at becoming experts. So we'll bring the technological expertise, they bring their expertise in their particular industry. And then when you fuse those two things together, that's where the magic happens. So it's always a fun process, or we try and make it fun. And we try to again, deliver more value than what we took away from the interaction.
Got it. Well, time has flown, so I got to ask one of my final questions. So Atomic Object, how did you come up with that name? Going off script here a little bit. I haven't used the name enough to let it imprint on our listeners' brains, but Atomic Object, I was fascinated to kind of read through it, but I don't think I read anything about where that origin came from. Do you know?
Do I know? What I know about the origin story of that is the founders were kicking back at the office one night. They had to come up with a name for the thing. Atomic Object is it's a programming term, although it's a programming style that's, I believe, somewhat fallen out of favor recently, or more across the span of 20 years.
Right.
So anyway, it was kind of a nerdy programmer term. It starts with an A, so we're always first in the phone book. A couple of the other names that they were thinking about were taken, so that's what we ended up with. But we like to have fun with it. We call our employees Adams. We have monthly parties that we call spin downs. We try to avoid nuclear disasters or screwing up projects. So we kind of get a little bit quirky.
Wonderful. So how can people learn more about Atomic Object? How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to our website, atomicobject.com. We publish a daily blog called Atomic Spin. That's written by our employees. It's chock full of information about all kinds of things, from how to set up your own home server to how to solve obscure programming problems to what it's like to work with us and what to expect when working with us. So you can find that at spin.atomicobject.com. And you can also follow us on all the normal channels, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, to keep up to date with us, our clients, our company, and employees.
Fantastic. We've been talking to the managing partner at Atomic Object. She's based out of Grand Rapids, Ms. Brittany Hunter. Thanks for joining me today, Brittany.
Thanks, Chris. It's been great.